The camera pans across a quiet, dusty highway at sunset. A frail old woman kneels beside her rusted mailbox, staring in disbelief. 50 roaring motorcycles thunder down the road toward her tiny farmhouse, leather jackets glinting, engines growling like thunder. Her eyes widen as she clutches her chest. The leader, a tall man with scars on his arms and a silver cross around his neck, parks his Harley right in front of her porch. He removes his helmet, his face solemn. "Mrs. Jenkins," he says, voice heavy with emotion. "We came to return what you gave, and more." Cut to black. But to understand what's happening here, we need to go back to yesterday, when one act of kindness changed everything. Backhand index pointing right before we dive in. If stories of kindness, mystery, and redemption inspire you, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the Kindness Chronicles. Because what you're about to hear might restore your faith in humanity. Martha Jenkins was 78 years old, a widow, living alone at the edge of Route 19 in rural Oklahoma. Her husband, Frank, had passed away 5 years ago, and since then, life had been a quiet ache. Her farmhouse creaked with every wind. The roof leaked. Her pantry was nearly empty. That Tuesday morning, she counted what little she had left, $10.32. That was supposed to last her until the next pension check came in. She folded the $10 bill carefully into her worn purse, whispering a small prayer. "Lord, just help me make it through the week." She bundled up, grabbed her old cane, and stepped outside to catch the local bus to town. The ride was long and bumpy, and Martha kept her eyes on the horizon, where dark clouds gathered like a warning. She needed to buy bread, milk, and a small bag of cat food for Whiskers, her only companion. But halfway to town, the bus slowed to a crawl. Up ahead, smoke curled into the sky. A man was kneeling on the roadside beside a broken-down motorcycle. The bike was huge, chrome gleaming beneath the soot. The man wore a black leather jacket with a flaming skull patch, the unmistakable mark of the Hells Angels. The other passengers averted their eyes. The driver muttered, "Guy's trouble. We ain't stopping." But Martha's heart wouldn't let her look away. She saw the man's trembling hands. His forehead slick with sweat. His eyes, desperate. Without thinking, she tugged the cord. "Driver, stop the bus. I need to get off." "Lady, it's not safe. Please." Her tone was calm, but firm. The bus sighed to a stop, and Martha stepped out into the cold wind. The biker looked up, startled. "Ma'am, you shouldn't. You look like you need help," she said gently. "What happened?" "Ran out of gas," he grumbled. "Tank's dry, station's 5 miles back. I was hoping someone might." Before he could finish, Martha opened her purse. She pulled out her last $10 bill and pressed it into his calloused hand. "Here," she said with a faint smile. "It's not much, but it should get you some gas." The man froze. "You serious? You don't even know me." "I don't need to," she said softly. "Sometimes the good Lord sends us strangers to test what's left of our kindness." His jaw clenched. He tried to hand the bill back. "Ma'am, I can't take this." But she closed his hand around the money. "You'll do the right thing." Then she turned, cane tapping the pavement, and walked back toward the bus stop, the storm winds tearing at her coat. The biker watched her go, eyes burning with something between guilt and awe. That night, the rain came. Martha sat by her small fireplace, sipping weak tea, counting the minutes until her pension arrived. Whiskers purred on her lap. But then came the knock. A loud, desperate pounding. Startled, Martha rose, heart racing. She opened the door, and froze. The same biker stood there, soaked to the bone. His jacket glistened with rain, his eyes red-rimmed. He held a small paper bag in one hand and a folded note in the other. I didn't know where else to go, he said, voice low. Can I come in for a sec? Cautiously, Martha stepped aside. He looked around her tiny home, the peeling wallpaper, the old pictures of her husband, the cross on the wall. Something softened in his expression. He reached into the bag and pulled out a loaf of bread, a carton of milk, and a can of cat food. I figured you could use these, he said awkwardly. And this. He handed her the folded note. It read. To the lady who helped a stranger without asking anything back, thank you. You saved a lost soul today. Beneath the note was a crumpled $20 bill. Martha smiled through tears. You didn't have to. I wanted to, he said. Name's Reed. He glanced at her cross again. I used to wear one like that. Before I lost my way. Maybe you didn't lose it, she said softly. Maybe it was waiting for you to find it again. Reed looked away, swallowing hard. You remind me of my mom. She used to say stuff like that. They talked for a while. About faith. About loss. About second chances. When he finally left, he promised he'd repay her someday, in a way that counts. Martha didn't think much of it. She just smiled and waved as he rode off into the rain. The next morning dawned quiet and gray. Martha fed Whiskers and went to fetch the mail. That's when she heard it, a deep, distant rumble. At first, she thought it was thunder. But it grew louder, sharper, closer. She stepped onto her porch, and gasped. Dozens of motorcycles were coming down Route 19. Engines roaring, headlights blazing, chrome glinting in the sunlight. Her heart raced as she gripped the porch railing. 50 riders. All in black leather. All bearing the same fiery skull emblem. They slowed as they reached her driveway, the sound like rolling thunder stopping all at once. Then Reed stepped forward, clean-shaven now, jacket replaced by a denim vest. He smiled. Morning, Mrs. Jenkins, he said. Told you I'd repay that kindness. Behind him, one of the bikers unstrapped a long envelope from his bike and handed it over. Martha's hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was a check, made out in her name. $85,000. Her jaw dropped. Reed. I don't understand. Reed's eyes shone. The guys and I run a charity for veterans and widows. I told them about you, how you gave me your last $10 when nobody else would even stop. They voted to help. Consider this your roof fixed, your pantry full, and your heart reminded that kindness never dies. Tears streamed down Martha's face. She tried to speak, but no words came. Reed knelt beside her and pressed something into her hand, a small silver cross, tarnished but beautiful. My mom's, he said softly. She'd want you to have it. The camera pans upward, showing Martha's tiny farmhouse surrounded by 50 gleaming motorcycles, their riders standing respectfully, heads bowed. A single tear rolls down her cheek as she whispers, "Thank you, Lord, for bringing my son home through a stranger." Because what no one knew, not even Reed, was that her own son, Michael, had died in a motorcycle accident 20 years earlier. And now, in some divine way, it felt like his brothers had come back to her.